Okay, guys, welcome back. On this channel, I cover stock market technical analysis, but in this video, I'm just going to throw out some trade ideas. No general market analysis as of right now. I don't see any changes from yesterday, so let's just get right into some trade ideas. We're going to look at levels. We're going to look at trade setups and possible trade triggers. All right, we'll start off with gold though. Gold bullion is selling off a little bit. Here's what I think gold's going to do. That's what it looks like it's going to do. We've got resistance back here back in 2011 through 13 around 1794, and recently we had this blow off top or blow off move. I don't think it's a top of the bull market that gold's been in. Gold is in a bull market, but we overshot it pretty impulsively. Everybody piled on. So now you get the washout move. Anytime you chase a trade like that, it's just usually not going to work out well. And so we're getting the pullback move. So I think we're going to pull back to 1790, maybe undercut it a little bit around 1750, somewhere right around there. And I adjusted my trend line a little bit to throw out this liquidation move that we saw back in March. So, anywhere around that area, I think is a relatively good area of support. So let's look at trade ideas. Barrick Gold. All right, since I think gold is weak, at least in the short term, not in the longer term, but in the short term, Barrick looks like it's probably going to pull back. You've got a level of support right here at 24.83 and another level here at 22.58. So I think we get that 22.58. Below that, not so sure. We could pull back as low as 20.26, and below that, I just don't see it, but I think there's a gap. Let me look here. No, there's no real gap right there. So yeah, I think the lowest maybe might be around 2026, but again, we'll just have to evaluate that. I don't know if we'll get that low, but I think we're heading lower in the short term. This is the trade that I got on right now. I'm short PAAS. Here's why I liked it. Uptrend line right here in PAS. It's a silver miner. Broke impulsively right there, so that was your sell signal, and little back test, and then has since just rolled over. So I think what could happen right now is we could either run up into a back test or a gap fill of 36. I think that would be an objective area to add to a short. I don't know if we're going to get that though, and then we could run down to about 30, 40, and possibly a lower, but we'll just say 30, 40 for right now. It's not an objective to add to this position right here. You'd want to look at a gap fill. That's the area you'd want to add. As it stands right now, I don't think it doesn't make sense to add to this position or enter this position if you haven't already got it. You got to keep your trades close to risk, and that would be up here when you get the sell signal when it breaks. So let's look at trades that are just setting up and are close to risk. XLV. You've got here this rising wedge, bearish rising wedge right here. You do have some negative divergence right there. There's your negative divergence. Also, it extends out, for a while. And you have negative divergence. Let's look here. You don't really have negative divergence because it is not making high. It hasn't made a higher price. You have negative divergence, but you don't have a higher price making a divergent high. But we do have the bearish rising wedge, and we're just starting to crack it. So here's what it looks like is going on. I don't know if it is, but it looks like it. Here's a breakdown. This was a break of the bearish rising wedge, and they instantly recovered it the next day, gapped it back above support, and then from there it started to fail again. And every single hourly candle has been a back test below resistance, and we're starting to see some selling. I'd like to see a little bit more, but if this is what I think is going on, this was your sell signal here, and the market makers, they basically whip it out, run in it, create a bear trap. Everyone shakes out of their short position that they took on the sell signal right here, and then they take that position from them, getting short, and then the thing rolls over. So it's just something that to watch. Another one that's close to breaking is PayPal. Here's PayPal. You can see here you've got the support trend line coming back from the March 20th, down in March. a tag right here, and then we've been holding this. We're starting to break. It's not there yet though, so you just got to wait for that breakdown, because if you don't get the breakdown, it doesn't have to break. It could easily recover and move higher, but just something to look at. Here's Zoom. This one looks like it just broke and back tested and confirmed. So here's a daily chart of Zoom video. It's been a momentum play, and everybody, you know, people have been long and made a good amount of money, but I think that momentum's just about to change. And you can see here, here's your momentum. Here's your moving up in an uptrend. And you can see lots of reactions, reaction, 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 reaction. And then we broke, and that was a nice impulsive breakdown. If I go to the hourly, I'll narrow it down to show you what I got going on here. So here's your break of the trend line right here. It was a gap down and an impulsive sell down right there. So that's a signal that shows that the momentum has broken price support. Then what they did is they did a back test. So here's a back test one. Tried to recover the trend line a little bit. My trend line could be off just slightly, but basically a back test and then another back test right here and an impulsively rejected again. So we've got a breakdown of price support. We've got back test and now a continuation. And so I'm looking for prices to continue down. I think we'll come down to this next level of support, 231.83. However, we already had a reaction right there, so I think we'll break through that. And then from there, you know, I've been trying to find clean price levels. There might be one right here. Just mark it out, I guess, around 210.20, 210.12. Might be a level of support right there. And then below that, we've got this 180.50 basically. So that is the trade idea there. Looks weak. Looks like it wants to continue going lower. And, you know, you have negative divergence, obviously, on the daily chart. You've got that right there. And especially on this RSI, you know, pretty obvious right there. It's flipping around on me. Sorry about that. Okay, moving on. Okay, guys, sorry, I had to take a call, so I forgot where I left off, but bottom line is Zoom, it's what's here on my chart. Looks like we broke the trend, back testing, going to start to roll over. It might take a little while. You know, you can consolidate, kind of go sideways. We can even do another back test. But if we continue to get rejected, it just continues to show that this is holding as resistance and momentum is fading, and eventually price action will work its way down. Let's look at some autos. They came out with auto or sales, and everything was relatively strong except for auto sales, so I wanted to look at that. So here's what I see in Ford. Island cluster top reversal. So you see the gap up and the gap down. This is that same island cluster that was put in on June 8th for the SPY, for the SPY, but this one hasn't been negated yet because this doesn't have the FANG stocks. Essentially, the FANG stocks carried the S&P 500 above that island cluster top, but this obviously is just, you know, one stock. So this is still intact, and you can see that was a reversal pattern, reversal top. We sold off. We're coming back to back test it. It should reject right here. It really shouldn't go much beyond 735. You know, it could get all the way up to 774, but it should never close really above that. If it does, it negates the pattern. But if it holds here at 733 is kind of the top and starts to roll over, then I'd look for a break of this trend line. So here's your trend line right here on the daily chart. A break of that trend line, and that just continues to build on the bearish case for this stock. So that's what I got on that one. Let's look at THO. Here's the RV, guys. All right, RV, we got daily uptrend right here that was broken, but it wasn't impulsive necessarily. Yeah, it had a little bit of a gap down and sell off, not that impulsive. And if I go to the hourly, you can see here, there's your breakdown, and it continued to sell off, but then we're just kind of chopping sideways. So it's correcting in time right now, but it does look like it's going to roll over. You've got negative divergences. Even this high right here, you can see, this is what I mean by a negative divergent high. See the price action right here? We hit a new high right there at 120, 80 basically, which was a higher high than this previous peak. But the momentum down here when it hit that was on way less momentum than what it previously had done. So that just shows there's less and less people participating in that move. It's a thinner move, and it has a high probability of failing, and that's exactly what it did after that. That high failed, rolled over, and this thing's down, about 10%, 11%. So the divergences are still intact. We've gone sideways. I think we go lower, probably down to this 87.80, which is, or possibly, $90, somewhere right in there. Let's look at WGO. Same deal as THO, negative divergences, trading in time here. So I think we're going to head down and tag this 53.60 and probably get a reaction there. And then maybe break that. But both this THO and these WGO aren't good entries. They're not good areas to enter. I'm really just trying to point out the lessons that you can learn from looking at the charts here. But they're not objective to enter here, short or long, because they're too far away from risk. You want to make sure you're getting short or long when you're breaking down or breaking, breaking out, I guess, breaking to the upside or breaking down. That's the area of low risk, and that's really the area you want to start establishing positions to keep your, keep your risk light, so that when you're wrong, if you're wrong at that level, you're wrong small. If you enter here, you don't know you're wrong until it's gone way against you, and it can just be a real mess. And then if it goes in your direction, there's not as much reward in it either, than getting in on the breakdown. Okay, and we'll wrap up with this DraftKings. This thing looks pretty weak. Here's what we got. All right, we've got a downtrend in DraftKings. It's a clear downtrend. You're making lower highs and lower lows. Here's your high, here's your lower high, and you can see as we go down, lower highs. And then you've got lows, lower low, lower low. So we're downtrending in DraftKings. This uptrend is no longer intact. So don't think of, whatever move happened in the past, that's done. Now we're in a downtrend. Now this could just be a bull flag, a bigger picture bull flag. If I go to the daily, you can see maybe this is just a big flagpole. We're flagging out, and then we're going to break to the upside. That's completely possible. But what they did yesterday is make it look like that's what was happening, and it ended up being a false breakout. So I think we're heading down to the lower end of this. Could be a ways down. Could be down at 25 or somewhere right around there. But here's what I see. See the breakout? This was the breakout that they did right there on this resistance line, and so they closed it right there, making it look like, okay, the stock's got a breakout. We're going to continue rolling up, but there wasn't huge volume, and the market wasn't confirming, the general market, the SPY. I see bearish things in the SPY and the Qs. And so I told you in the video, this is a breakout, but I don't trust it. I'm not going to take it. And this is exactly why. It's now down 7.5%. You can see basically gap down and just collapse back below resistance, and we're getting continued selling now. It's just being rejected. So this was a bull trap or a false breakout, whipsaw signal. That sets us up for a move at least down to this 31. But we've already been down here, so I think we'll probably undercut that somewhat, and potentially head down to what I got around 25. And maybe even the bottom of this channel right here, around 20, depending on when we get there. Okay, so that's all I got for this video. Give me a thumbs up. If anything crazy happens into the close of the week, I'll put out an end of the day video. Otherwise, I'll catch you guys on the next one.